Hello, sorry about the delay. We had some technical issues. Hopefully we're over those now. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really pleased to see you for our first run through of our new weight management programme. So what we're hoping to do is introduce you to the programme and let you know a bit more about it and what will be on offer. And also to clarify how the sessions are going to run, and to talk to you a little bit about what we hope you will get from it, and how you can interact with us. So you might also be able to see, well, at some point you might see Danielle. She's my HCA at Uphaven and Durrington. You probably met her before. And then also in the programme will be Ruby and Olivia that are based at Millstream. So there'll be 6 sessions on alternate weeks. And my name's Kathy, those of you who don't know me, because I know we've got invites going across the whole PCN. I'm one of the nurse practitioners. I specialise in long-term conditions and have a special interest in weight management and helping people with weight management issues. So the other thing that we're hoping to do as well is to get you to have a patient-held record so that you can keep a diary, or you can keep notes, and you can keep a record of your progress. We'd be ever so grateful if you'd like one of those, if you'd be happy to put your email and your name in the chat. It will remain confidential, but it means we can send you a link to the patient-held record. If you want to ask any questions at any point, please use the Q&A. And I can see someone already has put, is there going to be a session? And Danielle's managed to reply to you just saying that we're really sorry we had technical issues. Hopefully that won't happen again. So use the chat box for any questions as we go along. Danielle's going to keep an eye on that chat box for me while I'm chatting with you about the programme. So if there's anything that is a burning issue that needs answering straight away and is really pertinent to what I'm discussing, she'll interrupt me. Otherwise, what we'll do at the end is we'll try and make sure we've covered all of your questions before we move on. And any feedback that you've got, we'd be really grateful for, because this is our first time running through this set of 6 sessions, which will take us over the next 12 weeks. And obviously, every time we get any feedback, we'll use that to inform the next set of sessions. So basically, today's going to be in 2 main parts. We're going to talk a little bit about the fact it's all going to be completely non-judgmental. I want this to be a positive experience for everyone that engages with us. I want it to be informative for you, so ask any questions you want to ask. It's not going to just be about what food to eat and what food not to eat, because we probably all know most of that already, and a lot of us will have already been through many weight loss programs like Weight Watchers. This is more to talk about long-term changes by changing the way we think about what we eat, making healthy choices, enabling healthy decisions. And I'm hoping that the outcomes that you can look forward to are feeling positive and more empowered, an increase in self-confidence, that you're setting goals for yourself that you are able to achieve and see progress and move on, setting more goals as we go through the programme, leading you to have a healthier life, to prevent illness and to keep you healthier for longer, and to improve your mental well-being. So I'm just going to open up my slides for you and share my screen. So here's my screen, and we're starting off we've written this programme and it's for the whole of the primary care network. So that includes Millstream Medical Centre, Larkhill and Salt and Avon Valley and Uphaven and Durrington. So you might find that people are being invited that you hear they're being invited and actually they're not our patients, but they're patients of either Millstream, Larkhill or Uphaven and Durrington. So there'll be 2 parts today. The first part is going to be an introduction to the programme, talking about why you might want to be involved in the programme. So what do we think that we're going to enable for you and help you enjoy from this set of 6 sessions? I'd like to help you lose weight. To be honest, my main motivator is to help begin a healthier relationship with food, making good choices, having a healthy eating balance between what we take in and how much energy we burn, looking at setting targets that are achievable and maintainable, increasing activity where you're able within your capabilities. We'll also look at shopping and cooking and eating out, because there's so many difficult times that we find if we're out at a restaurant or we're out shopping or it's a party. We're going to look at behavioural patterns, and they're very personal, so there'll be quite a bit for you to do on looking at yourself and working out your own behavioural patterns and ways that you can move forward to break cycles that aren't as healthy for you, moving forward, and ongoing support. So that programme will cover all of that. So today, really, why would you want to join our programme? Well, we sent you a message saying, come and join our programme, but also so that you realise why it's important to look after yourself. We all know that being a healthy weight is better for us, but there are a huge number of people now, literally a large number of both men and women, who are in the overweight or obese category. The prevalence is increasing significantly year on year, and the most up-to-date statistics I could actually get in numbers were between 1993 and 2015, and nearly 1 in 3%, so 27%. 1 in 5 children, when the Office of National Statistics issued the last lot of data that I had access to, were overweight. It's higher now. 1 in 3 children in year 6 were measured to be obese or overweight, and this is causing a problem for the children and for the parents. And it's a case of instilling healthy lifestyle right from the beginning. And if you're engaged in helping yourself, then it's easier for you to help others around you. What sort of problems might be related to being overweight? Having high blood pressure, or what we might call hypertension. It's twice as common, so you're twice as likely to have higher blood pressure if you're above a normal weight for your height. So we know that 43% of men that are overweight and 37% of women who are overweight have raised blood pressure, whereas in the population of people with what's called a normal BMI, so height to weight ratio, about 20%, 21% of men and 18% of women. So you can see, look, it's double the percentage higher risk of having increased blood pressure. What else is related to obesity? Most people now, because of publicity and all the health promotion work that's being done, realise that being overweight, especially if you carry your weight around the middle and you have a family history, can lead to a much higher incidence of diabetes. And we're also picking up something now called pre-diabetes. So a normal weight, the prevalence of diabetes is only about 2%, but if people have carry their weight centrally, so they've got a higher waist measurement, or they carry extra weight, there's a prevalence, so 11% of people may be diabetic in that group. So obviously if you're heavier and you're slightly bigger around the middle in the tum, that's where making healthy decisions with your diet and lifestyle will help improve diabetes if you've already got it, or prevent it. And a lot of people now, we talk to you about something called pre-diabetes. And there's a lot of work that you can do with healthy lifestyle and diet and exercise to help reverse pre-diabetes or stop it becoming diabetes. And we will talk more about things like that as we go through the programme. So pre-diabetes is a risk of going on to develop diabetes. And originally the statistics used to say that after 5 years with pre-diabetes, about 1 in 5 people would become fully diabetic. With all the preventative work that we're doing now and the increased knowledge that we've all got, that's improving. More and more people are reversing pre-diabetes, so returning to normal blood sugars, or staying longer in the pre-diabetes range before they move into a diabetes range. Lots of work with lifestyle and diet and weight loss can help this. And we'll talk about all those kind of things. So what other things are related to obesity? What are the health risks? Well, we talk about heart disease and stroke. So they're not necessarily cholesterol problems related to weight, but an unhealthy diet and a genetic predisposition, plus the weight and the blood pressure and the risk of altered blood sugars. Some cancers, and we'll go into more detail about those later. It can cause a lot of feeling of lack of self-worth or depression. You may feel stressed by it because you feel it's a burden and you've been trying to battle it for years and you're just not winning the battle. It can give also problems with body image and how we feel we present ourselves and our confidence, and increased trouble with joints and pain in joints, or breathing problems like sleep apnea. And that's when You might not breathe effectively at certain periods during the night and your oxygen saturations drop, and you can wake up feeling really, really tired. And that can be related to weight when the weight is particularly around the neck area and will press on the airway, reducing your breathing capacity at night. And the picture there that you can see is of something called CPAP, which is a machine that pumps air to force the lungs to open to get enough oxygen in while you're asleep. And it really does improve people's quality of life. But also by losing weight and the weight around the neck area particularly, that can improve breathing at night. So how can we help you, or how can you help yourself as well? So we want you to make healthy, permanent changes to your lifestyle to have a healthier future. So we want to support you to lose weight. I feel that the weight loss is a bonus from learning to make the healthy choices. I don't want it to feel like a negative experience for you. I want you to be able to feel like it's a positive experience. You're making healthy choices to have a healthier lifestyle for longer, and also to try and encourage you to be a little bit more active, and then later on to maintain your weight loss or even carry on with your weight loss. We're going to do this over 6 sessions, as I said, and each session will have a subject heading that we'll go into a bit more detail about, but you will have access to look back at recordings of what we've done if you want to go back to information that you heard before but you can't quite remember. And at the beginning of each session after today, we will recap what we did and talk to you, let you ask any questions that you might have related to the time that you've spent in the 2 weeks working on the session that we've done. So after today's session, you'll have 2 weeks where you're working on making changes, thinking about making changes and your own goals. And we'll look at reviewing what we've done before we start session 2. And we'll do that each time. And if you can put your name and email, we can also send you a patient-held record book where you can make notes during the presentation. You can record your baseline readings, which we'll talk about, and you might look at things like a food diary or what are triggers for you, and we'll go through all that and how you can use the patient-held record. So let's get started on session 1. Any questions? This is just a summary of what I've said. So the face-to-face will be for people with COPD, will be invited for face-to-face. Later on, as this programme becomes more, moves out of the pilot stage and becomes accepted and more smooth running, we may be able to do face-to-face for everybody. There will be video sessions available as well. We'll have resource materials that you'll be able to go onto that I'll put onto the web page or be able to send you links, and we will do a follow-up. But has anyone got any questions before we move on to the actual first session? Danielle will look in the Q&A box. Usually we give people nothing at the moment. That's absolutely fine. So what I'll do now is I'll move on to actually session 1. Everybody's ready to get going on this new healthier you. Here we go. So today what we'll do is we'll do an introduction about a bit more about the programme and what to expect as we go through the weeks, and why you might want to get onto this programme, what mindset you need to think about starting to make changes. So are you ready to make these changes? Is this the right time for you to start engaging with us and move on with us? And we'll also look at making a baseline, all right, so getting you to record a baseline and setting some goals and deciding to get a measure of where you're at now. Where are you at now? What do you think you could make changes to? What sort of things do you think you might be able to change without anything too specific at the moment? All right, but you might want to set some specific goals by the end of the session. We'll talk about lapses. Lots of people, when they're on what they call diets, which can feel quite negative, but when they're on a weight loss program or they're trying to lose weight, can feel like, well, I didn't do very well, this went wrong. Well, that's it. So we'll talk about what to do if things aren't going quite as well as you were hoping. What can you do to get back on track? So these are the stages of change, and they're well worth looking at before diving headlong into the action stage. So a lot of us think, well, I know I need to do something, not sure what, right, let's do something. And if you look at the cycle, it means that you've got the desire to make the changes. You think that it might be better for you, but you haven't really looked at where you're at and got a baseline and thought really about how you might start making changes that you can carry on with, that become life-changing. So this bit called preparation is very much what I think you'll be doing in the next 2 weeks before now in the next session. Looking at where you're at, looking at what you're eating and how you're eating it and when you're eating it and why you might be eating it, looking at how active you are and why you might not be as active as you think you could be, or what do you think you might be able to do, and what are your motivators? Why do you want to do this? What's going to be in the back of your mind when things are difficult? I really want to achieve this because, and you'll have your own reasons. You may want to take the grandchildren to the park and be more active with them. You may want to be able to walk around the house more easily so that you can do your own activities of daily living, your own cooking, a little bit of your own cleaning. Or you may be very active and you might decide, well, I want to aim for a target of a specific length of walk or a sponsored event or something like that to motivate you. You may be going on holiday in a few months' time, sort of 6 months' time, and you think, this is my chance to really make a difference. So it's well worth thinking about where you're at, what sort of things that you're doing at the moment, and being really honest with yourself, taking some measurements, getting a baseline and thinking, am I ready? Am I ready to do this? Will I be able to put the time and effort into this so that I can keep going at it? And then you can start moving around the cycle with us, the action. We'll talk about actions every week, what you can do to make healthier choices, and then the maintenance. But throughout all of this, the relapse, although they've put it after the maintenance, the relapse could occur anywhere in the sort of action stage when you're trying to achieve your goals. And we'll talk about coping with that and how you might deal with that. All right. There are always days, a lot of us will use a negative word of failure. Want to try and move forward from that of that wasn't the best decision. What could I have done better? How can I make a more positive decision next time? So that's the cycle that you need to just have a look at. What stage are you at the moment? Are you ready to move from preparation to action and keep going with us? Would you rather wait and do a bit more thinking and engage with us next time? I think the fact you've signed on usually means people are ready and raring to go and just want a little bit of support to get going. So let's move on from there, but that's for you to have a think about. So what you want to aim for when it comes to weight loss, and you want to be realistic, is 5 to 10%. Now, that for some people you might think, well, that's such a small amount, but actually we've got evidence that proves that as little as 5% weight loss can make a difference to your cholesterol, your blood pressure, reduce your risk of developing diabetes, or improve your blood sugars if you're already diabetic. And improve your blood sugars if you're already diabetic, reducing the risk of developing heart disease, so arterial disease that can cause heart attacks, reduce the risk of stroke. So if you weigh 120 kilos, if you lost 6 kilos, then that would be a significant difference, and that would be your 5%. So how are you going to monitor your progress? So a baseline, people like to measure all sorts of things on a baseline. When you're on a weight loss program, the whole of your body potentially can change in proportion. But the things that are most beneficial to measure for your health and easier to be consistent about is your weight. So we recommend you only weigh once a week. Try to pick the same time of day, on the same set of scales, without your shoes, with the same amount of clothing. And then that'll give you a little bit more consistency. If you weigh at different times of the day, you'll get different weights. If you weigh on different scales, you'll get different weights. If you move your scales around the house, potentially you'll get different weights. So most scales need a good, flat, hard surface without carpet. And then and leave them where they are, and you should get a consistent weigh-in. If you come to us or you go somewhere else and you're weighed and it's different, try to only compare like with like. So keep your scales at home so that you can weigh at home. But if you do have a weigh-in somewhere else, only compare that weigh-in with a weigh-in done in that same place previously. So like with like. The other thing that's really beneficial is to measure your waist circumference. And that's because, as I spoke earlier, the higher risk of of diabetes and what we call insulin resistance is directly related if you carry weight around the middle. If you measure where your tummy button is and around your waist, so if you've got a pinch point around your pinch point, but otherwise just in a flat line from the tummy button and back, then you'll always measure in the same place. All right. If you want to measure neck circumference, tops of your thigh circumference, anything like that for your own interest, then they also hopefully will show progress for you. Do bear in mind, if you start doing an awful lot of walking, for example, the thigh measurements might increase because you're gaining muscle. All right, so that's not as reliable as the waist measurement for actual weight loss. And what you're losing when you lose weight in waist inches is what we call the subcutaneous fat, the fat that potentially is around your tummy, but also the interstitial fat, the fat that's behind the muscle wall that can build up around organs and cause problems. So it's really beneficial to see weight loss around the middle. So what about getting a daily food diary? Why would you want to do that? It's quite difficult to do if you've not done it before. And actually it can be quite difficult in that you might not want to write things down. You might not feel, oh, that wasn't a good choice. To get a baseline, it's much, much better to honestly put down your normal diet and your portions so that you get a really good idea of where you're starting from. And it can help you reflect on the good days and also where you might be able to make changes. So it can help you make permanent behaviour changes because you get to know yourself and your habits better. You can see your eating habits, you can see the times of day. You can then start to identify what we call your eating triggers. Now, what can happen sometimes is there are certain situations that mean that you're more likely to make an unhealthy choice. And we'll talk about that on the next slide. So don't worry too much about at the moment, but getting a baseline will help you. And on the booklet, there are columns for you to put the date and the time, what you ate and the portion, but another column that talks about how you were feeling when you made that choice. So for some people, if it's their mood that triggers unhealthy or stress that triggers unhealthy eating, or you were out socially, it'll help you identify difficult times for you. Also, you can keep in that diary how much exercise you've done. So how long were you managing to walk continuously for, or doing the housework for? Anything that raises your heart rate just a tiny bit more than normal will count as exercise, but you need to try and maintain it for as many minutes as you can. All right, I don't want you to completely make yourself short of breath. So if you struggle with your breathing or your general fitness, you need to do it slowly. We want you to succeed, and it's really good for you to see your own progress. It's also good to see where things didn't go quite so well and what you did about it, and that's still success. So you can start setting yourself goals that you can measure, that you can achieve. A lot of us set ourselves up to fail frequently by making a really broad target, like I won't eat crisps anymore. For me, that would be absolutely impossible. But you might set a more realistic target of I'll only eat them once a week with my lunch or every other day. Anything that you're doing to make a change that's more healthy for you, but we'll talk about those kind of specifics a bit later. All right, so let's have a quick think now about what can happen, what we call lapses, what can cause the frustrations, what can cause the feelings of failure, which is a horrible word I don't like to use, but we're often in situations that we find difficult. So it can be if you have certain feelings, you're feeling lonely or frustrated. So you've got a really difficult situation going on and you're trying to deal with it and you haven't got anyone to talk to. I think a lot of people would say, I comfort eat might be a phrase that they use. And when they say comfort eat, they often mean they haven't made the healthiest choice either. They haven't gone away and had a lovely salad as a comfort food. They've had something like a carbohydrate, something sweet. Sometimes sugar feels like a good comfort food. And then you need to think afterwards, did that make me feel better? And often people will say, no, it didn't, but it's difficult making that right choice at the time. So these are the kind of occasions you need to identify if they're your triggers. What about special occasions? So we get invited out to drinks with friends and there's lots of nibbles. what you do, you don't want to be left out. So we'll go through later in the sessions about making healthier choices in those kind of situations. So you're still fully participating, but you're having a healthier choice. Difficult situations, but also difficult people. Some people are feeders. Like I've put later about family and friends want to buy you chocolate, want you to eat cakes. Oh, go on, have a cake. And actually, that's not helping you. So it's finding out ways of saying that to them, that you're making healthier choices, that's not the kind of choice you want to make, and offering alternatives that they might be able to bring for you. Working long hours, being very tired makes it very difficult sometimes to make a healthy choice. I think those of us who work in the healthcare profession often really find ourselves grabbing anything we can, and it takes a lot of discipline to make a plan of bringing something to work so that we have a healthy choice. But when we do that, it does feel better and we get a better balanced diet. So it's making those kind of decisions. Meal planning, that can make a really big difference. You're going shopping and you've got a proper shopping list, that you only buy the foods off the shopping list, not the buy one get one free, or the tempting reduction, because it's not in your plan. So meal planning can be very, very useful. All these things might take you quite a few weeks to get used to doing, and you mustn't feel that it all has to be done instantly, but it might be one of your goals, might be to keep this food diary, or to start making meal plans, or to try and take some food to work so that you're not picking at whatever's available. It's up to you where you set your targets. Bad weather, oh dear, really freezing cold, or all that rain we had, I don't feel like going for a walk. So you're not as active, and then actually might find you eating a bit more, or picking where the food is in the cupboard. You open the cupboard and there it is in front of you. Things like that, moving food around, not buying certain foods. If you're angry or stressed or bored, all these things can be triggers, and we're all different. So part of the work that's really important when we talk about the preparation of part of the cycle that I looked at the beginning, the preparation is getting to know yourself, being really honest with yourself, so you've got a really strong platform to move forward from. Doesn't matter what you measure or what you write down, that you honestly have a picture of yourself, because then you can progress. A lot of people set off on these type of programs without doing that, and then feel that they failed because they haven't got a proper comparison of where they started, and also haven't had that honest conversation with themselves to identify where their triggers are and trigger foods. So certain foods might be triggers for you as well. So you might need to find ways of making better, healthier choices. And all these things we will talk about in a lot more detail. But what do we do? What potentially could you do? I've got a few suggestions. These are just suggestions. Yours will need to be your personally derived solutions, if you see what I mean. So from your thoughts, how you then decide you're going to move forward. So one lapse is not going to undo all your hard work. You have to remember, and again, not to use this word failed. So things didn't go quite well over that decision. It doesn't mean anything you've done previously or anything you're going to do in the future has to be bound by that one episode. So take each moment, each choice separately, each healthy eating choice separately, each decision you make, each reflection on the decision you make as a separate entity that then will build towards your success. And if there is a blip, then how you move forward from that. So what can you do? A lot of people talk about a distraction. What can you do to help you not comfort eat or make an unhealthy choice? So think about, for you, think about what's good for you. What do you enjoy doing that would then distract you enough that you would feel positive you're doing something that makes you feel well and increases your well-being? And this list here is literally just a few ideas, and I can't even start to think what your relaxing, your rebuilding activity, your distracting activity might be. But these are just some things that come to mind. For me particularly, I love to go to a coffee shop, sit in the window, maybe with a notebook or with a talking book, and just enjoy watching the world go by. Don't need food, nice cup of tea or an Americano. We'll talk about the calories in coffee shop coffees a bit later on. But a nice time where it's time out, it's time to recharge your batteries, It's the way that I restore myself. You might like to chat with a friend. You might find going for a walk, just enjoying nature, enjoying what's around you, enjoying the positivity of the world, making you feel a bit more positive and taking you away from that either boredom or frustration or stress that was leading to poor food choices. Some people love to sit and do puzzles or jigsaws. They love to read. You might like to soak in the bath. We've got little children, that'll be fun. But and me as well, my dog used to try and get in. But yeah, try and if you find that relaxing, a nice warm shower, soothing for you, rejuvenating, a nice soak in the bath. You might like music, you might listen to music or playing music. Organising photos and family albums can be really therapeutic and quite fun. You might like to get out in the garden. And as I said, these are just a few things that come to mind that people find helpful, but you will need to identify your own, and that's very important in the next 2 weeks. So you're thinking about where you're at, measurements of where you're starting, planning ahead for what might be your risky situations, thinking about a food diary, thinking about what your triggers are and what could you do if you're confronted by those triggers to try to stop these lapses. They keep recurring, otherwise they'll happen again and again. Whereas if you break a cycle, if a different reason causes a lapse, then you move to the next solution. If it happens again, why did it happen again? Was the distraction that I planned a good enough solution? Why didn't I think of it in time? Stop and think is a really good one. Just 5 seconds between making a decision about what you might eat and then having that food to eat. So basically, between now and next week, it'll be really important for you to, if you want to get hold of the patient held record, let us know, and we will send you a version that you can fill in, and the boxes will stretch on the computer if you want to, or if you want a printed version, we'll send you a PDF that you can print off, or we could even print you some A4 pages for you to collect from one of your surgeries so that you can start keeping a record. And this record will put your it starts on the front page with your details and little motivational ideas for you and why you might be doing it. And you might want to add things on there of why you're going to engage with this program. What's your main aim for doing this? What's your motivator? And also looking at your personal details, so those measurements that I talked about. So you've got a baseline, and then the food diary, the baseline that's going to help you understand what you're actually eating and why you do it at a certain time. And then there'll be room for notes and things like that. Myself and Danielle will be on hand. We can answer questions when we come back next week. So at the moment, the main jobs are to think about, are you ready? Start preparing. This next 2 weeks is preparing. If you want to set one of your first goals, think about it really carefully. Make sure that you're sure you can achieve it. Please don't set yourself up to fail. Make it realistic, make it measurable, and we can talk about how you're getting on next week. You can review it in 2 weeks. You can review it, see if you've achieved it, where you might like to go next. And the next session, we'll talk a lot more about what is a healthy choice. Start talking about calories, start talking about making healthy changes. What calories are in certain drinks and foods? How can I make a healthier choice? And then specifically setting some goals. Right. So that was what I had to say today. Danielle, are there any questions in the box?
There's just one question. Yeah. And it's basically asking what the threshold is for the Wiltshire Active Health programme. So the leisure centres, you know, the Active Health.
Oh, right. I think the nurses do the referrals to the Active Health, don't they?
Yeah, I can find that out. And
yeah. But if you've been invited to this, you will meet the criteria for a referral to Active Health. And the nursing teams at the surgeries and you know, the whole of the nursing teams at the surgeries, so the practice nurses, the HCAs and the nursing associates are all able to refer you to Active Health. I don't know what the wait is like at the moment, but it certainly would go along with this programme extremely well if you were keen to engage. If you want us to specifically talk to you about it, put a message in the chat box and one of us will give you a call. We're very happy to talk to you about specific things as well. So whoever asks that question, if they're happy to put their name if you put it in the private chat, other people on this Q&A won't see it. We will, and we can follow it up with you. Are there any other questions, Danielle?
There's a question in regards to the link. Do they use the same link as that tonight, or do they get sent new links each time?
As far as I understand it, you should get a new link each time. Yeah, you should get a new link each time. I'll stop sharing so you can see me. You should get a new link each time, and we'll keep a record of who we've sent those links to. Let's have a look. Well, we've got a few emails. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. And we will send you details. Let's have a look. And no other specific questions at all. I think there may be more questions when we get more into the nitty-gritty. Today was much more of an introduction, so you can see me if you don't know me already, and Danielle. I don't know, can they see you, Danielle? Let's put you up, so there you are. So now you can see Danielle. Put your microphone on and just say hello.
Hi everybody.
Okay, all right, I'll put myself back on. It won't. That's it, it's swapped back to me. So that's Danielle, she works at Uphaven and Durrington, and then there's Olivia and Ruby, who unfortunately haven't been able to join us tonight, but hopefully they'll be here next time, and they're at Millstream. We do have email, you can email the surgeries with questions, so email your specific surgery that you're registered at, and we'll do our best to answer your questions within 48 working hours. If you put your email, which I see quite a few people have, thank you very much, and we will send you the link for the patient held record. Also, what I hope to do on the website for each of the surgeries eventually start putting lots of resources for you. All right, lots of different places where you might want to go to broaden your knowledge and make it a little bit more interesting. If you have any ideas of resources you'd like to share with the other people that are engaged on the programme, do let us know and we'll check it out and share it with everybody as well. So I don't think there's anything else I want to do. We're a tiny bit early, I think, because it's the first session and there's not as much to cover. No more questions. Lovely to see that we had 22 people with us today. I'm delighted. If we can keep you to the end, that would be wonderful. If you've got anybody who's keen to engage but they've missed us, we rerun this every quarter, or the plan will be to rerun it every quarter. And as I said before, any feedback about the structure, or as we go through ideas of things we might include that we haven't included, or things you don't think we need, please feel free to just let us know. And no question is a silly question. Probably heard that lots of times, but we're happy to take any questions at all from anybody. Let's have a look. Please send we will send the food and health diary out in a 4-page booklet that you can either write in on your computer, I think as an Excel, so the boxes grow, or we'll send you a PDF you can print off as a Word document. That's just in the process of being finished. Is that all right? So I think we'll say goodbye now, unless anybody's got any last questions. We'll give you a few more seconds just in case you think of anything. Lovely. I don't think there's any more, are there? Oh, yeah, hold on now. NutriTrack. I've heard of that one. Hold on, my computer won't go. I just saw an announcement and now my screen won't go down to it. Danielle, can you read it out for me?
It'll be on publish, yeah. So it said it was great start. If people like apps, NutriCheck offers a free app and helps track calories and weight, etc. for lots of foods.
One of the things that's really good about NutriCheck is there is a free version. There's also a subscribed version if you want to. There's the ability to scan the barcode of the food that you're going to eat, to put the exact weight or portion that you're having, and it calculates your calories. It'll also help you calculate how many calories for a day that you'd like to have. It tells you the nutritional status of the food. It tracks your 5 a day for you. It looks at your fats, your carbs, your salts, and actually very, very detailed if that's what you'd like to do. And if you've got a smartphone and you can scan, it even brings up pictures of the food, and you can copy them and carry them onto other meals if you want to as well. So it's a really very useful. There's MyFitnessPal as well. Some people use that. That is another one. You can use barcodes, and there's also NHS apps that help you, that you can use for fitness and weight management. There's lots of things. So if people think of things like Nutritrek, that's great. And what we'll do is we'll build up a resource library that we'll put on as a resource for everybody to look at to see if they're interested. Thanks for that. I don't know why it won't show me the bottom. Is there anything else? Anybody? No? Okay. I think we'll close now then. Obviously, if you think of anything when we've gone, you let us know and we'll try and answer any questions that come to us. All right, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. So our next session will be on the 20th. If you suddenly decide you want the patient held record and you haven't given us your details, just let us know via our website, and that'll go to the office and they'll let us know and we'll send you a link. So thank you all very, very much. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when we're going to start specifically looking at the balanced diet, the healthy foods and the calories intake and out, knowing how many calories you need for you to lose weight and setting goals. All right.